So the reset has officially happened. Just a quick little update when it comes to the CEA and the CN side of it. They've still yet to drop the 13th content, which, even though it didn't drop during reset, which I thought it was going to, I suspect that around, I'd say in 5 hours time, I think is when we might get. Which means that obviously when it comes to global reset, the stuff that's supposed to happen on February 13th will release closer to when global resets, or when global's reset does happen, right? So we're just kind of waiting on that. But in other news, just to keep you guys in the loop of things, this is just further updates and looks on what we're actually getting. So to anyone that was asking about the 6-star material items, there are some on the board. This is more of an update look of it, so you guys can get a better idea of what we're actually truly getting. So I believe the mistake was the corridor keys, right, and it should be this material. Yeah, so that's the difference. And then this is when Nell's update releases. There's the other better corridor keys, but all in all, yeah, plus 7k right there in terms of jades between the two updates. So yeah, not too bad on that one. Also, a ticket has been found. So if you guys don't know, you're able to transform between Nell. So when you're using Nell in this state, should I say, that ticket will allow you to transform her into a smaller version of her, and I believe this will be given through the event once again. So if anyone's wondering, no, is it going to be pay to win? No, it's just a how should I say, an exploring skin. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically, you won't be able to go small now in game, if that's like as in like in combat. So it's more so just for the main menu now that you can choose between going big or small. So that's basically that. So that's pretty cool. Now, with all of that being said, we do have Nell's kit, so we are going to take a look at that, and yeah, just kind of see what we're working with, see where we're at, how great of a character is she. Now I'm going to leave her dupes till last, so let's kind of have a look, see what Nell is doing, and then we'll kind of go from there. So basic attack, Nell swings her Zanpakuto, dealing 5 hit damage. Obviously we don't know the percentage play, but the developer has stated that she does have damage behind her, and this will trigger corrosion a certain amount of times while building up her own spiritual pressure and field skill energy. She's a tactical user, makes sense. You'll soon understand. After reaching maximum spiritual pressure, perform another attack after the last hit. Nell leaps over the enemy to attack, dealing a certain amount of damage, triggering corrosion X amount of times while gaining fighting will and friendship points, and healing the entire party for an amount equal to her attack. Well, I was about to say, are we ever gonna get a healer? So that's interesting. Okay, I mean, we'll take that. We've got some form of healing happening now, so this is interesting. It was only a matter of time, but it was definitely something that will probably help us down the line, should I say. When her field skill is active, the last hit of this attack within 8 seconds automatically triggers an ally's counterattack upon switching, so very similar to AIZEN, with damage and spiritual pressure reduced by a certain amount. With the 5th hit, she gains fighting will and friendship points. Basic attack, oh, is this her transformation state? Yeah, because of the sword. There you go, so that's when she transforms. Basic attack, Nell swings her spear, dealing 5 damage. Sorry, dealing 5 hits, totaling a certain amount of damage while triggering corrosion X amount of times, and the 5th hit grants fighting will. Seems like the corrosion might be a debuff, maybe a resistance dropper, and then the fighting will be a buffer, but we'll find out in the passives. Overwhelm. Nell swings her spear, leaps, immobilizes the enemy, and detonates, dealing a certain amount of damage, triggering corrosion a certain amount of time while gaining fighting will, and healing all allies for an X amount of their attack. If spiritual pressure is at maximum, triggers an additional attack after the last hit. Okay, so that is, honestly, for the basic attack, that's huge. That's huge. Alright, moving along, see what's going on with the technique. Swift slash. Nell performs 2 slashes, followed by a powerful kick, dealing damage and triggering corrosion while building her own spiritual pressure. Field ability upon release, she gains fighting will and friendship points. Flying throw. Nell throws a spear at the enemy, dealing damage and stacking on the corrosion and applying certain amount of stacks of corrosion. Okay, so yeah, okay, that makes sense now. Green spin. What is this? After using flying throw. Oh, that's using the spear here. If fighting will is above 2, press the sticking button again. Now teleports next to the enemy, draws her spear, and charges again, dealing additional damage and applying certain stacks of corrosion, pulling enemies along during the technique. This technique consumes 2 fighting will and increases the cooldown of normal attacks by a certain amount of seconds. After being cast, it directly chains into the 4th hit of the basic attack. Damn, okay. Yeah, if it triggers the 4th and then you go into that and then do the 4th and the 5th hit, I mean, technically speaking, you're getting back your fighting will and friendship points, so that's a nice little rotation play there. Okay, we like that. The ultimate now unleashes the power of the Zombucto to transform into an Antelope Knight and charges at the target, dealing a certain amount of damage, triggering corrosion X amount of times after transformation. All attacks are boosted and she gains steel body and shield equal to her attack plus X. Okay, the field skill, combined attack, and fusion flash cannot be activated during this state. Ooh, okay, so take a note of that. Be wary on when you're transforming. Verdant Lance. When ultimate energy is at maximum, Nell focuses her spiritual pressure and launches her lance at the enemy, dealing a certain amount of damage. Casting this ability interrupts the return state and maximizes the energy of her field ability. While Nell's field ability is active, for 8 seconds after the attack hits, switching to an ally automatically triggers a counterattack, and the damage and spiritual pressure reduction of the counterattack are reduced by a certain amount. Okay, so that's fine. I mean, that's kind of expected. Okay, gotta be wary about the transformation now. Going into the counterattack, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, to be honest. I'm not really too bothered. I mean, it's kind of given that if we do counterattack, obviously we are going to be rewarded. So we already know of this, but just to make sure, a certain amount of corrosion will be added, and then upon a successful counterattack, we gain fighting more friendship points. If she's transformed, yep, same thing, but we won't get friendship points. Okay, that's fine. Alright, moving along. Field skill. Here we go. So, for important friends, when Nell's field skill is active, all allies gain the abnormal status mastery, which we know of. I think it's going to be at 30%. It has to be, because everything else, well, all the other units have the resistance drop of 30%. So I would assume they would keep that. Anyway, her field skill has 2 types of energy, field skill energy and friendship points, corresponding to combo attack and fusion flash. Both are gained through Nell's attack with a 0.2 cooldown. Combo attack. When other allies attack hit enemies, they automatically consume field skill energy and trigger Nell's combo attack, which deals a certain amount of her attack damage and applies corrosion. If enemy is hit again with 2 seconds by another status effect, an additional combo attack is triggered without consuming spiritual pressure. 2-second cooldown. Each trigger grants friendship points. So that's the whole abnormal play now, right there with that field skill. Fusion flash. When friendship points reaches 15, Pesh and Donchaka appear and perform fusion flash in front of Nell, dealing damage. Ah, that's how we get it. Nice. I was wondering how, on how the bros will come on in. Okay, nice. We take those. Alright, what we got with the passive now? Most of Nell's attacks trigger corrosion, dealing status. Oh, okay, so she's doing abnormal damage herself. That's interesting. Okay. And applying 1 mark of corrosion. Each mark reduces the enemy's status resistance by a certain amount for X amount of seconds, stacking up to X. Oh, okay, so I think... So it was kind of a given on what we knew what corrosion was going to be, but it's still huge to say that obviously this will also be reducing... I would assume that type of resistance, right? The abnormal resistance. But if it's resistance as a whole, then that's going to be a W. But yeah, that was kind of a given. I kind of knew, but I just kind of wanted to make sure that is exactly what is being implied. Direct damage from corrosion increases by a certain amount. Okay. While in the return state, shield is active. Nail attacks are increased. Okay. When attacking enemies with stats effect, the critical probability of the attack increases by... Oh, okay. When attacking enemies with a stats effect, the critical probability of the attack increases by a certain amount. I'm eager to see on what that is going to be like, because again, that might put Nell in some in the damage department, as you could say. Now, before I get into the dupes, I'm just going to quickly go over the weapon and the stamp card. So, what is this? So the weapon card, the number of direct activations of corrosion and the efficiency of the application of corrosion value increased by 50%. When the field skill fusion flash hits, it activates an additional corrosion. The base damage of this corrosion is equal to 300% of Nell's attack for each different status effect previously active on the enemy. This damage is doubled. Jesus! That sounds pretty broken to me. Now again, this ain't gonna be another Kenpachi situation, but I am seeing the value in this now. She does sound pretty solid, I will say. This is her stamp card. What we got going on? In the return state, each point or will of fight consumed increases the damage of the ultimate green lance by 5%, stacking up to 9 times. That's got to be 10 times. Why are they just cutting out 45? Might as well change that. Put up to 10 times. It's got to be 10 times. That's something that they probably will change, because that just feels a bit weird to leave it at 45. Come on. Oh, direct damage dealt by ultimate increased by 30%. Okay, that's nice. Status mastery increased by 20%. That's the abnormal mastery status right there. Enemies hit by the ultimate green lance receive armor break for 30 seconds, reducing the resistance to thrust damage by 15%. This effect does not stack. Oh, there you go. So we knew that, obviously, even though Nell was going to be a universal character for the abnormal DPSs, but obviously that in some way, in some form, there will be that thrust support since she is catering to her own element. And just a reminder, in terms of a new set, obviously she does get a critical damage increase of 40%, and then after casting an ultimate, increases thrust. Oh, there it is. Okay, there, I was waiting for it. After casting an ultimate, increases thrust damage by 15% for 15 seconds. After casting the field ability, bonus status damage, being abnormal damage for all characters, is increased by 40% for 30 seconds. So obviously you can still run it with Kenpachi in the future for Grimmjow, but as per usual, because she's a thrust tactical, Gin is just going to be getting that little bit more support. So alright, it is dupe time. When casting the ultimate, wait, did I say that right? I think I butchered that. You immediately gain 3 fighting will. Okay. Each time a field skill is cast, Nell gains judgment for 2 seconds, increasing the damage of all field skill by 50%, and all allies deal increased thrust damage by 20%. Okay, well, that's huge. Can't complain. That's the first dupe too, so that is huge. Second dupe. In return state, casting the green spin technique, special attacks, or the final hit of a counter attack grants 1 stack of harassment per cast. Each stack increases the critical damage of the entire team by 20% for 15 seconds. You can stack that up 4 times. Oh, boys. Woo. Yeah, that second dupe is nasty for the boys, for Kenpachi and my boy Gin. That is muy caliente, if you ask me. Okay, we like that. So yeah, those first 2 dupes, again, it's like a common thing for this game now. Like the first 2 dupes for all characters typically are really solid. Sometimes the 4th dupe is a bit of a letdown. Sometimes it's okay, and then the final dupe is always kind of crazy. So, but this is, yeah, if you guys want to go for 2 dupes now, that is going to be, again, I would say try. 4th dupe. Each time an ally casts a counterattack, Nell's critical chance increases by 20% and critical damage by 40. Oh my god, for 10 seconds. Oh, this effect cannot stack. Oh, I mean, that's still depending on how her passive is looking. I'm curious to see on how in total this would be, but yeah, this is more for Nell. Did I say Noel last time? God damn it. Anyway, last dupe. When launching the ultimate green lance in return state, it will not end the fighting will. Wait, what? It will not end, and the fighting will be immediately restored to maximum. Huh? What? No, it does look like that Nell herself will most definitely pack a punch. I can see that obviously rumors are true in terms of how she'll be on the level of AIZEN. I can honestly see that if they choose to commit and keep her kit, which I would assume that would be the case, of course. But those dupes are pretty cracked. Honestly, her support play on an overall mana is going to be insane. Obviously, as per usual, it seems that through other means of her kit is where that thrust increases for the most part, but that universal tactical unit for the abnormal side, it's there without a shadow. It's there. So definitely a unit not to sleep on. If you really want to complete her support side, then obviously 2 dupes. Everything else after the second dupe is more so of building Nell in her damage. Well, yeah, to kind of build her up. So if anyone's wondering on what the cutoff is between on building her dupe wise, if you just want to build her for support, 2 dupes in. If you want her, I guess, as a DPS, or not a DPS, but like to have damage behind her on the level of AIZEN, then of course, you know, the remainder dupes, we'll say that much. But yeah, boys, she sounds damn good. I am genuinely excited. for Nell to release, and more importantly, how much this is going to elevate the current DPS we have right now in terms of Gin, Kenpachi, going forward with Grimmjow, maybe even going forward. This is a strategy that they're going to kind of keep pushing until half anniversary. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I'm very much excited for the future, as well as how Grimmjow will come about and how this will affect him. So yeah, there's that.